What is up, everybody? This is Marshall Lee of DonkeyJawProjects.com, and this is the Working Artist Vlog. How you guys doing today? I'm doing all right. Spent a slow day at work, and yeah. But one thing that hasn't been slow is the Werewolves and Unicorns Anthology Kickstarter. Well, it's been a little slow, but we finally are getting that kick, starting to get that kick that you get at the end of a campaign. And we, as of a couple seconds ago, when I checked, we are $5 away from getting that poster. And what poster are we talking about? Well, let's see what you guys may have won. I mean, just look at this thing. It's so cool. It's fun to see. I mean, she did such an amazing job. It's fun to see, like, all these characters that I just read their stories and stuff in, like, full color, and really neat. And here's my character, the announcer from the gladiatorial match, and I don't know if I know what his name is, but and I also didn't know that that's the colors that he was. She looks like she picked the colors, but I think she did an amazing job. It looks really cool. And yeah, I don't know, I just can't get enough of this poster. It's gonna look so awesome on a wall, and it's just gonna be so cool to be able to get this in my hands and your hands as well. So isn't that awesome? That thing is so cool. Karen just did an awesome job on that poster, and I cannot wait to have that thing up on my wall. All the characters, well, not all the characters, a character from every story, and so cool. So anyways, yeah, I thought I had one more story to show you guys from the Kickstarter, or not from the Kickstarter, but from the anthology, but alas, I do not. I wish I did, but I didn't realize that the last file that I hadn't looked at yet was actually the poster that Karen did. So I downloaded that bad boy, and now I wanted to show it in the video and stuff. So if you want to get that poster, if you want to get this awesomeness, which is the Werewolves and Unicorns and Other Mythological Creatures Anthology. Have I said that yet? It's other mythological creatures. It doesn't have to be werewolves. It doesn't have to be unicorns. It can be all of the above or more. So yeah, anyways, I was talking about this the other day, like that you could do comics with anything. You don't need anything to do comics. You could even do comics with a ballpoint pen and crayons. Well, I was just scrolling through my Instagram today, and I came across this. Dr. Kako? I'm not sure. It's the comics in Spanish, and I just love this illustration. I mean, it's just so fun, and I don't know. Yeah, this is really cool. I've been following this guy for a while, and I just really enjoy his artwork. So isn't that cool? Like, you can literally, like, I mean, I don't know, to me that's cool. Like, I would buy that, I mean, it's not in English, so there's that, but I mean, the design is really fun and cool, and I don't know, personally, I like stuff that's kind of different kinds of mediums and comics and stuff, and I would actually be interested in something like that. I may even try to do some crayon stuff myself. I bought some crayons recently, and I was trying to see, like, how is it possible to do, like, good color work with crayons. And the thing is you're not going to get too much with subtlety, but if you want to get kind of that fun primitive kind of look, you can make some cool stuff with some cool ink work and design. Yeah, I think you can make some really cool stuff, so I might try to do that again. That'd be cool to do some crayon somethings, maybe comics, maybe some fan art or something. Yeah. So today I was thinking a lot, actually the last couple days, I've been thinking a lot about what we are doing as comic creators, comic readers even, and as far as like the audience and stuff, expanding the audience, and the thing is especially as a comic creators trying to promote their own stuff, we have to look beyond the typical comic book market. I mean, you have to certainly you should kind of service that market, and be connected with those people who love comics. I mean, that's like the base right there. That's where you want people to know about. Those are like your first readers and stuff. But you want to move forward past that as well. And like I've said before, Raina Telgemeier, she's kind of like an outlier to a certain degree, but she was the first one to really tap into the YA market with young adult market with comic books. And because she was the first one, and because she made some really cool stories, she probably sells more of her comic than any other comic in America. I wouldn't be surprised. And it's been going for a long time. She's been doing that for a good, I don't know, probably at least 10 years, I'm thinking. I remember when she was first getting started, and I was seeing her on like Jersey Dro's podcast, like art and story and stuff, and this was when she was just starting and Smile was just coming out, and and now she's just like so well known, it's crazy. And she reached out, how many people have gotten into comics because of her, who weren't really looking for comics, but were looking for a cool young adult story, about kind of going through adolescence and the awkwardness and all that stuff. And now maybe they're reading superhero titles, maybe they're reading Marvel and DC, maybe they're reading Image, maybe they're reading manga as well. There's so many different things. That's another one. Manga has reached out to so many other kind of readers. The superhero reader, it's cool to hit that mark for sure, but there's so many other subject matter we could be talking about. The horror genre, the sci-fi genre, the fantasy genre is one that hasn't been touched too much, with comics, at least not in a way where it got big. You know what I mean? Like, obviously there's always been fantasy comics and stuff. Maybe when Conan blew up, that's maybe the closest thing to fantasy kind of blowing up, if I could think. There's also like ElfQuest and stuff in the past, but I don't know, that there's so many places you could go. Romance used to be huge in comic books. Why we should bring that back. There's, I'm sure, tons of female readers or male readers. I mean, everybody loves romance really when it comes down to it. The guys with their like testosterone infused kind of attitudes might say, oh, I don't want to see a romantic comedy or a romance movie or something. But one thing that's interesting is you have a man and a woman, they get together, and is only one of them into the romance of the relationship? That doesn't make sense. Romance goes both ways, So I don't know. I think everybody, even whether they admit it or not, are probably somewhat into romance. I don't know. So there's that. But the thing is we need to be like an advocate for comics. Comics is an amazing medium. I don't think we've seen the potential of comics come through for sure. Like, the fact that so many movies are based off of comics right now, especially the obvious ones are the superhero MCU, DC movies, but there's tons of movies out there and TV shows that are based on comics that you might not even realize, because they're not superhero. They're like all kinds of other stuff. Umbrella Academy's kind of an example, but there's so many other ones. The Crow, that one was a big movie, and that started from a comic, obviously, and there's so many other things. There's tons of examples of that kind of thing. iZombie, that's not superheroes. That's an awesome TV show. Unfortunately, it got canceled. I don't know why. It was a really cool show. But The Walking Dead. I mean, come on. Countless things. So we have seen some really awesome potential of comics, turn into some things. And obviously, I'm telling I know I say this all the time, but like, I'm not into comics because I want to make movies or TV shows. I'm into comics because I want to make comics. I love comics. I think comics are awesome just by themselves, but I also think it's cool for them to expand into other things. I mean, I would love to have a comic property that I create turn into a TV show or a movie. I think that would be so cool, but I'd be the one still making more other comics, because I just love comics, and maybe I'd go into the meetings and help the writers or talk to the writers or try to be part of the situation. But, for the most part, I really just want to make comics, and I hope nothing ever takes me away from that, because I really enjoy it. So yeah, I don't know, but the thing is we need to be an advocate for comics, though. Like, one thing I like with Peter Simeti is he will tell you, of course he's going to push Alterna because Alterna's awesome and because that's his company. But also, he'll tell you, go into your store, your comic shops, and buy Marvel comics, buy DC, buy anything, just buy stuff from your local comic shop, because we need to support these shops, and the better that Marvel and DC do, the better that the indies do as well. And he's just an advocate for comics. He even started the hashtag, or somebody started it, but he kind of took on the hashtag Team Comics, and it's so true. Like, comics, in some ways we haven't seen the potential of comics, but we have too at the same point. But there's so much more we can do, is I guess the point I'm trying to make. And there's also just the comic readership, can expand. There's no reason why we can't. The typical demographic of comic readers is probably, in America is probably, I don't know what it is, but it's probably something like 20 to 45-year-old men, I guess. that's kind of been, and it used to be young kids too, but we've kind of lost the kids along the way because of a lot of different reasons. But I think we need to start making more comics for kids and make them available in more places so that they can get to them, and cheap enough so that they can, convince their parents to buy, comics for them. Find different ways that kids can get involved with comics and get a hold of comics. Web comics is a great way to kind of do that too. Kids are constantly glued to their iPad. What if somehow, while they're playing Pokemon, Pokemon Go, maybe we could get an ad in there for a cool comic book that is kind of similar to Pokemon, the Pokemon comic book, even just get them into that at least to start, So, I don't know if that's happening or not, but it freaking should be, just things like that, whatever kind of video game they're playing, so what's related to Minecraft, that's a comic book, something like that. So, go to where people are, where's people's attention, and see if you can get a little piece of that attention, and we can start expanding the market for comic books. Because the thing is like I've said this before, there's a huge audience for comics. They just don't know they're into reading comics yet. We just got to show them. So if you make a comic, first of all, don't just think you have to make comics about superheroes. And maybe I'm a little bit of a hypocrite saying that, because a lot of stuff I'm working on is kind of going that route at the moment. But I don't know. I mean, I've made a horror comic. I made, kind of a slice of life adventure type. I've made some different kind of comics. I made a fantasy comic, mini comic. Terra and the Pterodactopus, just different things. Like, I like to play around in different genres, and there's no reason why, it tends to be somewhat surrounded around action or supernatural stuff, but whatever, find a new niche that you could get excited about making a comic about, not just superheroes, And then when you, even if it's superheroes, that's cool, like, but find the people who might be into that particular thing, you know. Find things out there that are like what you make and see if you can get connected with that audience, whether they're comic readers or not. Just see if you can somehow get them interested in like some of the cool artwork you made for that particular property. You know, make a bunch of promo artwork, you know, or like maybe little animated shorts or something, or little strip comics that kind of show a funnier side of the story that you're doing with your characters and stuff. You know, whatever it is, you know, find new ways to find new people. Be an advocate for comics. Show people, you know, explain to people why comics are awesome. You know, the marriage of words and pictures. You know, and storytelling, you know, the way storytelling can be put in a comic is really unique and interesting and fun. You know, that, I don't know, there's so many ways. Like when you sell something, like whether you're selling something or not, you're always still kind of selling something. Like whatever you're about, be about what you're about, and you know, you just kind of show the enthusiasm of the medium that you're working within. You know, if you love comics, show that enthusiasm about them. Tell people why comics are so awesome in your own words. You know, there's a million reasons why. You know, I'm not going to sit here and list all the reasons. In fact, it'd be hard for me to think of like all the things, but figure it out. You know, be creative with the way you show your comic, and make sure you focus on story. You know, focus on the stories that are in the comic you're making. Like that's gonna hook people in, you know, and create a hook even for your comic. I mean, throughout these last 20 days, I've been showing you a little glimpses into all the different stories for the Werewolves and Unicorns anthology, and that wasn't like, you know, by accident. I did that on purpose because I know that, you know, a lot of times us creators, if we do have like a YouTube channel, or if we do have, you know, social media that's really strong, sometimes we get focused on showing like tutorials, how to draw things, how to do this, you know, or just like I do my vlogs. I mean, trust me, I'm the one doing it. You know, I do these streams. They always have a topic about creating comics. I get into the craft of things, but how often do we actually showcase the actual cool story we made? You know, find different ways to showcase the story and show people just how cool it is. When you're drawing your comic, think about, you know, when you're staging, you know, each panel, don't think about, you know, just, okay, I just need to put these two people together kind of in a straight on pose so that, you know, I can show people that they're there, and then have them talk to each other. And don't, you know, think about what's the most exciting way, or most interesting way, or most thought-provoking way, or the most beautiful way that I can display this part of the storytelling. And then take those images and repurpose them as many ways as you can. You know, you got pages and pages of comics, you got pages and pages of beautiful artwork. Try to get as good as you can at art, because these are the things that'll pull people in. They'll be like, wow, what I just saw there was so beautiful. Where can I get more of that? Oh, there's a whole story. It's in a form of a comic. I've never read a comic before, but this looks really cool because it's about samurais and guns or something, and I'm totally into that, you know, whatever it is, you know. You know, it's just, there's so many places you can go with this. There's so many ways you can be an advocate for comics. And, you know, even if they're not buying your comic, if you can get somebody excited about comics and get them to, you know, check out another comic, you know, you can recommend things to people that might be more within their interests. Maybe they're like, you know, I don't really like comics about samurais and Indians and stuff. And I'll be like, well, what do you like? Oh, you know, we just were watching this and this on TV. Like, what do you watch, you know? And then you could be like, oh, you know what? There's a comic that's really good, actually, that kind of goes along that same route, you know? So, there's so many ways, think of it like a librarian. Like, that's kind of their job, is to help people find stuff they'd be into. So, yeah, I don't know. That's about it, guys. I just wanted to talk about being an advocate for comics. I think it's really an important role that we all can play, and we can expand the market and also expand our own sales in the process too, which, all that's good stuff in my opinion. So here it is, the last call, the last look before the deep dive. We got, a little bit over 24 hours left, but this is basically the last day of the Werewolves and Unicorns Anthology Kickstarter. So you got some time, but, not very much time. So go over there, back it, help us get to this poster goal, but also, help us to continue to get more stretch things. And I don't know if there is a stretch goal after this, so maybe we could get to the digital sketchbook thing too. That would be really cool. But yeah, please share this the video, or just share the Kickstarter anywhere if you could, and try to get the word out so we could really make a big splash for the last day of the Werewolves and Unicorns Anthology Kickstarter. You guys are awesome. Thanks for hanging out. I'll talk to you next time. Peace.